Captain Vextara pressed her crystalline hand against the smooth wall of her ship. The surface felt cold and wrong. It should have been warm and pulsing with life. Instead, the bioorganic hull of Harmony's Edge was dying around them. "Do we have?" she asked her chief engineer. Naltrix looked up from the writhing mass of cables that served as their main computer. His blue skin had turned pale with worry. 6 hours, maybe 7. The heart chamber is failing. Without it, we cannot maintain life support. Vextara nodded slowly. Her people, the Zilani, had always been peaceful. They explored the galaxy too. Learn not to conquer. Their ships were grown rather than built, living creatures that carried them safely between the stars. But now their ship was sick, and they were far from help. "Send the distress call," she ordered. Research Assistant Klymeth worked at his station, his long fingers dancing over the controls. "Signal sent, Captain, but we are in the Outer Rim. The nearest Federation world is 3 days away. It's too far." Naltrix said quietly, "We will be dead before they arrive." Vextara looked through the transparent wall at the space around them. Stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there was the quarantine zone, the forbidden area that contained the death world called Earth. She shuddered at the thought. The creatures that lived there were monsters beyond imagination. The Federation had locked them away for good reason, 3 sectors away. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Pioneer's Dawn. The human ship was nothing like the graceful Zilani vessel. It was built from metal and plastic, designed to survive the harsh conditions that humans faced every day. Morrison was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had spent 20 years exploring space for the Earth's colonial authority. "Captain," called Lieutenant Amy Parker from her station. "I'm picking up something strange." Morrison walked over to her. Amy was young and smart, one of the best communications officers he had ever worked with. "What kind of strange?" "It looks like a distress signal, but the format is completely unknown. The computer can't make sense of most of it, but there are some universal mathematical constants. Someone is definitely asking for help." Chief Engineer Bobby Chen looked up from his tablet. He was a practical man who preferred fixing things too. Talking about them could be a trap, Captain. "We don't know who's out there." "The signal is coming from the edge of the Kepler system," Amy said.
Ow.
"That's pretty far out for anyone to set a trap." Morrison studied the data on Amy's screen. The signal was weak and getting weaker. "How far away?" "About 6 hours at maximum burn." Dr. Lisa Rodriguez entered the bridge carrying a cup of coffee and a stack of papers. She was the ship's science officer and xenobiologist. For years, she had dreamed of finding proof that humans were not alone in the universe. "Did I hear something about a signal?" "A known distress call," Morrison said. "What do you think, Doc?" Lisa's eyes lit up with excitement. "This could be it, Jake. This could be first contact." Navigator Sam Johnson spoke from his station near the front of the bridge. "Captain, if we change course now, we'll be 3 days late getting to the mining station." "Corporate won't be happy." Security Chief Danny Walsh crossed his arms. He was a big man who took his job of protecting the crew very seriously. "Unknown signal from unknown aliens. Sounds like trouble to me." Morrison looked around at his crew. They were good people, all of them. Amy Parker had joined them fresh from the academy, eager to explore the unknown. Bobby Chen could fix anything that broke and had saved their lives more times than Morrison could count. Lisa Rodriguez was brilliant and curious, always pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Sam Johnson could navigate through any star system no matter how dangerous. Danny Walsh would fight anyone or anything to keep them safe. These were the people Morrison trusted with his life every day. Now he had to make a decision that could change everything. "Amy, can you clean up that signal anymore?" Amy worked at her controls for several minutes. Slowly, the static began to clear. "It's definitely a distress call, Captain. Whoever sent it is in real trouble. Life support failing, engine problems, the works." "How do you know all that if you can't decode the language?" "Mathematics, Captain. Distress calls follow certain patterns. Plus they're including technical diagrams. Basic stuff, but clear enough." Morrison walked to the front of the bridge and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, people were dying. They'd sent a signal hoping someone would help them. The smart thing would be to report it to Earth Command and let them handle it. The safe thing would be to continue on their planned route. But Jake Morrison had not become a starship captain by always choosing the smart and safe option. "Bobby, how fast can we get there?" 6 hours, if we push the engines hard. Might cause some wear, but nothing I can't fix. "Danny, what's our weapon status?" "All systems green, Captain. If there's trouble waiting for us, we can handle it."
"Sam?"
"Plot a course for that signal. Amy, keep monitoring the transmission. Let me know if anything changes. Lisa, start thinking about first contact protocols." "We're really doing this?" Bobby asked. Morrison turned to face his crew. "Someone out there needs help. We're the only ones close enough to provide it. That's what we do." Donnie shook his head. "I still think this is a bad idea. But I'm with you, Captain."
Course plotted.
Sam reported. "Take us out," Morrison ordered. Pioneer's Dawn turned toward the unknown signal and accelerated into the darkness. Behind them, Earth grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the sky. Ahead lay the first meeting between humanity and the galaxy beyond. None of them knew that their simple act of kindness would terrify the beings they were trying to save. On Harmony's edge, the situation was getting worse. The ship's living systems were shutting down one by one. The warm, soft light that had always filled their corridors was fading to cold darkness. Captain Klamath called out, "I'm detecting a ship approaching our position." "Of Hope? Federation?" "No, Captain. The engine signature is unknown. It's definitely artificial, not biological." "Artificial?" Naltrix looked confused. "Who builds ships from dead metal?" Klamath worked at his station, trying to identify the approaching vessel. When the answer appeared on his screen, his blue skin turned white with terror. "Captain, you need to see this." Vextera looked at the data and felt her heart stop. The ship approaching them was from the quarantine zone. It was human. "They're coming here," she whispered. "The Deathworlders are coming." All around the bridge, her crew stopped what they were doing and stared. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the humans. They were the monsters from the world of endless death, creatures so violent and dangerous that the entire Galactic Federation had agreed to lock them away from civilized space, and now they were coming to answer the Zilani distress call. "What do we do?" Naltrix asked. Vextera looked at her dying ship and then at the approaching human vessel. They had called for help, and help was coming. The only question was whether they would survive the rescue. Captain Morrison watched the alien ship grow larger on his main screen. It was beautiful in a strange way, all curved lines and soft glowing patches. It looked more like a living creature than a machine, but it was clearly in trouble. Parts of the hull were dark and cold, and the ship was drifting without power. "Amy, try to establish communication," Morrison ordered. Lieutenant Parker worked at her station. "I'm sending basic mathematical sequences and friendship messages, universal symbols that any intelligent species should understand." The response came quickly, but it was not what they expected. The alien ship began moving away from them, slowly but steadily. "They're trying to get away from us," Navigator Johnson reported. "Maybe they don't understand our signals," Dr. Rodriguez suggested. "Or maybe they do understand them and they're scared," Security Chief Walsh said. Morrison frowned. "Scared of what? We're here to help them." On the alien ship, panic filled the bridge. Captain Vextara stared at the human vessel approaching them. It was everything the Federation reports had described: dark metal surfaces, sharp angles, and weapon ports that looked like hungry mouths. "They're sending us messages," Klamath reported with a shaking voice. "What do they say?" "They claim to offer friendship. But everyone knows this is how Deathworlders hunt. They pretend to be friendly until they get close enough to strike." Naltrix looked up from his dying controls. "Captain, our engines are completely dead now. We cannot escape." Vextera closed her eyes. In all her years of peaceful exploration, she had never imagined dying like this. Killed by monsters from the Forbidden World, far from home and family, should we surrender? asked one of the younger crew members. "Never," Vextera said firmly. "We are Zilani. We do not give up even in the face of death." Back on Pioneers, Dawn, the crew was getting frustrated. Every attempt at communication was met with silence or rejection. The alien ship was clearly dying, but its crew refused all offers of help. "I don't understand," Amy said. "Our messages are clear. We want to help them." Bobby Chen studied the alien ship's design on his screen. "Look at this thing. It's grown, not built. These people use completely different technology than us. Maybe they think our metal ships are weapons." "It's possible," Lisa agreed. "Different species might have very different ideas about what looks threatening." Morrison made a decision. "Amy, send them our ship's specifications. Show them we're explorers, not warriors. Include crew photos. Anything that shows we're peaceful." Worked quickly, preparing a data package that showed human faces, human art, and human science. She sent it to the alien ship and waited for a response. The response was immediate and terrifying. The alien ship began broadcasting what could only be described as screams. On Harmony's edge, the crew stared in horror at the human data package. The images showed exactly what the Federation files had warned them about. Beings with forward-facing eyes like predators, teeth designed for tearing flesh, hands that ended in claws, though the humans called them fingernails. "Look at their art," Klamath whispered. "Violence and death everywhere. They paint pictures of war and call it beautiful, and their science," Naltrix added, "they split atoms. To make weapons, they study diseases to make them worse. Everything they touch becomes a tool for killing." What the Zilani didn't understand was context. Human art did show conflict, but it also showed love, hope, and beauty. Human science did include weapons research, but also medicine, agriculture, and exploration. They saw only what they expected to see. Captain Vextara tried to stay calm. "Broadcast a message to any Federation ships in the area. Tell them we are about to be destroyed by Deathworlders. Maybe someone can warn other ships to stay away from this system." Morrison watched the alien ship with growing concern. "They're not just refusing our help, they're actively afraid of us." Captain Sam Johnson called from his station, detecting gravity distortions in this system. "There's an unstable star about 2 million kilometers away, so the alien ship is drifting toward it." Danny Walsh checked his instruments. "At their current rate of drift, they'll be pulled into the star's gravity well in about 40 hours. Then, they'll be dead in 41 hours, Bobby added grimly. Morrison looked at his crew. "Options. We could use our tractor beam to pull them away from the star," Sam suggested. "That might look like an attack to them," Lisa warned. "We could dock with their ship and offer direct assistance," Amy said. "Definitely looks like an attack." Danny replied, "Unknown aliens forcing their way onto your ship. I'd start shooting." Morrison walked to the front of the bridge and stared at the alien vessel. "They called for help, but they won't accept it from us." Why? Dr. Rodriguez had been thinking about this problem. "Jake, what if we're the first humans they've ever seen? What if everything they know about us comes from someone else's description? You mean like a rumor that got out of hand?" "Exactly. Think about it from their perspective. They've never met us, but someone told them we're dangerous. Now we show up, and everything we do gets interpreted through that lens. So how do we fix it? We prove them wrong. We show them what we're really like, not what they think we're like." Morrison nodded slowly. "Amy, open a channel to their ship. Full audio. And video channel open, Captain." Morrison stepped in front of the camera and spoke slowly and clearly. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Pioneers Dawn. We received your distress call and came to help. We are not here to hurt you. We want to save your lives." The alien ship. The crew watched Morrison's message with fascination and terror. He looked exactly like their worst nightmares, but his voice was calm and gentle. "It's a trick," Naltrix said. "They're trying to make us trust them." Was studying Morrison's face carefully. "Look at his eyes," he said quietly. "Predators don't look like that when they hunt. There's no hunger there, no violence." He looks ... worried. Worried about what? About us? Captain Vextera felt confusion mixing with her fear. The human captain did seem genuinely concerned about their situation. But everything she had been taught told her this was impossible. Morrison continued his broadcast. "We know you're afraid of us. We don't understand why, but we respect your choice. However, Our sensors show that you're drifting toward an unstable star. You have less than 2 days before you're pulled into its gravity. Please let us help you. We don't want to see you die." The honesty in his voice was hard to ignore. Vextara found herself almost believing him. "Captain," her engineer called. "Life support is failing faster now. We have maybe 12 hours of air left." Vextara faced an impossible choice: accept help from the monsters and possibly survive, or refuse and definitely die. She looked around at her crew, these good people, who had trusted her to keep them safe. "Broadcast a response," she decided. "What should I say?" Vextara thought carefully. Tell them. Tell them we are grateful for their offer, but ask them to keep their distance. We need time to think." The message went out to Pioneer's Dawn. Morrison smiled when he heard it. "Progress," he said.
There.
"Not running away anymore." "What's our next move?" Danny asked. Morrison looked at the dying alien ship and made his decision. "We wait. We stay right here, and we wait. Eventually they'll have to choose between trusting us or dying. And when they're ready, we'll be here to help them." But Morrison didn't know that every minute they waited, the alien crew became more convinced that the humans were playing some terrible game with their lives. Dr. Lisa Rodriguez stared at her computer screen, reading every piece of data they had collected about the alien ship. She had been working for 6 hours straight, trying to understand why the aliens were so afraid of humans. "Jake," she called. "To Captain Morrison? I think I know what's happening." Morrison walked over to her station. "What did you find? Look at this." Lisa pointed to her analysis. "Their ship is completely biological. It's alive. They grow their technology instead of building it. To them, our metal ships might look like dead things, like weapons made from corpses." "That would explain why they're scared," Morrison said, "but not why they won't talk to us. There's more. I've been analyzing their communication patterns. They keep broadcasting the same message over and over. It's not directed at us. It's going out to the whole galaxy." "What does it say?" Amy Parker looked up from her translation work. "It's a warning, Captain. They're telling everyone to stay away from this system because humans are here." Morrison felt a cold weight in his stomach. "They think we're monsters. Not just monsters," Lisa said quietly. "They think we're the monsters. Like we're famous for being terrible." Security Chief Walsh crossed his arms. "Well, that's just great. It's first contact with aliens, and they already hate us." "We can fix this," Lisa said with determination. "We just need to show them who we really are." On Harmony's edge, the situation was getting desperate. The air was getting thin and cold. Many of the crew were weak from the failing life support systems. Research Assistant Klamath worked at his station, trying to keep their computers running. He was young for a Zalani, only 30 years old. Unlike the older crew members, he had grown up hearing stories about the Deathworlders, but he had never really believed they were as terrible as everyone said.
"Captain,"
he called to Vextara. "The humans are sending us something new. Another threat?" "No. It looks like ... music." Vextara moved to his station. Okay. On the screen was a recording of humans playing instruments and singing. The music was strange but beautiful. It spoke of love and loss, hope and sadness. These were not the sounds of monsters. "Play it," she ordered. The music filled the bridge of their dying ship. It was peaceful and sad, telling stories of people far from home who missed their families. The crew listened in silence, confused by what they were hearing. "This doesn't match the Federation reports," one of the crew members whispered. "Maybe. The reports are wrong," Klamath said quietly. Captain Vextara felt doubt growing in her mind. The music was followed by images of human families, human children playing, human art that showed beauty instead of violence. These pictures looked nothing like the monster stories she had been told. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez was preparing something special. She had convinced Morrison to let her try a different approach. "Amy, I want you to send them my personal files," Lisa said. "Which ones?" "Everything. My family photos, my research, my dreams about meeting other species. Show them why I became a scientist." Amy worked quickly, preparing the data package. "Are you sure about this, Doc? This is pretty personal stuff. That's the point. Monsters don't have families. We don't dream about making friends with aliens. If we want them to trust us, we need to be honest with them. The package went out to the alien ship. It contained pictures of Lisa as a child, looking up at the stars, photos of her parents, her dog, her college graduation, videos of her explaining why she wanted to study alien life, how she hoped to learn from other species and share knowledge with them. On the alien ship, Klamath studied the human woman's life story. He saw her grow from a curious child into a dedicated scientist. He watched her explain her theories about alien communication, her excitement about the possibility of meeting other intelligent species. "Captain," he said slowly, "I think this human female is like us." "What do you mean?" "She explores space to learn, not to conquer. Look at her research. She studies life, she doesn't destroy it." Vextera looked at the data. Dr. Rodriguez reminded her of her own daughter, who had also dreamed of exploring the galaxy and meeting new species. "It could still be a trick," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Why would they lie about this? We're already helpless. If they wanted to hurt us, they could just wait for us to die." Engineer Neltrix looked up from his repairs. "Have been maintaining a safe distance from us for 8 hours. They haven't moved closer, even though we can't stop them. Their engines are much stronger than ours," another crew member added. "If they wanted to capture us, they could have done it already." Captain Vextera felt her certainty cracking. Everything she had been taught about humans said they were violent and dangerous, but their actions didn't match the stories. On Pioneer's Dawn, Morrison was running out of time and patience. How long before they're pulled into the star? "Navigator." Johnson checked his calculations. 36 hours, Captain." "And how long do they have before their life support fails completely?" Bobby Chen had been monitoring the alien ship's energy readings. "Maybe 10 hours. Probably less." Morrison made a decision. "Amy, open a channel to their ship, full broadcast." When the channel opened, Morrison spoke directly to the alien captain. "Captain Vextera, I know you can understand me. My name is Jake Morrison. I have a daughter back on Earth. She's about the same age as one of your crew members. If she were trapped on a dying ship, I would want someone to help her, even if they were strangers, even if they looked different from her." Morrison paused, choosing his words carefully. "I don't know why you're afraid of us. I don't know what stories you've heard about humans, but I can tell you what we really are. We're explorers, just like you. We're parents and children and friends. We make mistakes. We feel fear. We love our families. And when we see someone in trouble, we help them. That's who we are." On the alien ship, the crew listened to Morrison's words. His voice was steady and honest. He spoke like a father, worried about his child. "We're going to die here," Naltrix said quietly. "Our ship is dead. Our air is running out. Maybe the stories about humans are wrong. Maybe these ones are different." Klamath turned to his captain. "What if we're the first aliens they've ever met? What if they're just as scared as we are?" Thought about her own first space flight, how terrified she had been of the unknown. She thought about her daughter back home and about Morrison's daughter on Earth. "Open a channel," she decided. "Captain, open a channel to the human ship." Amy Parker's voice filled the bridge. "Channel open." Captain Vextara. Vextara had never spoken to a human before. She didn't know if she was making the right choice, but she knew she had to try. "Captain Morrison," she said, her voice shaking. "We are afraid of you because we have been told that humans are dangerous. We have been taught that your people destroy everything they touch." "We're not going to hurt you," Morrison replied gently. "I'm beginning to believe that," Vextera said. "But my people have never worked with humans before. We don't know how to trust you. Then let us show you. Let us prove that we're here to help." Vextera looked around at her dying crew, at her failing ship, at the star that would soon claim their lives. "What do you need us to do?" Morrison smiled, though she couldn't see it. "Just let us come alongside your ship. We'll figure out the rest together." For the first time in hours, Captain Vextera felt hope. Captain Morrison watched as Pioneer's Dawn slowly moved closer to the alien ship. Every movement had to be careful and gentle. The Zilani were still scared, and one wrong move could destroy the fragile trust they had built. 50 meters and holding. Navigator Johnson reported through the view screen. Morrison could see the alien vessel up close for the first time. It was even more beautiful than he had imagined. The hull seemed to breathe, pulsing with faint light. But large sections were dark and still, clearly dying. Amy, maintain constant communication with their ship. I want them to know exactly what we're doing at all times. Lieutenant Parker nodded. Channel open, Captain. Morrison spoke to the alien ship. Captain Vextera, we're going to send our engineer over to look at your ship's systems. His name is Bobby Chen. He's a good man, and he knows how to fix things. On Harmony's edge, Captain Vextera felt her heart racing. A human was coming aboard their ship. Everything in her training told her this was how humans invaded and conquered. But her people were dying and she had no choice. We understand. She replied, our engineer Neltrix will meet him at the docking port. Bobby Chen suited up in his space gear, checking every seal twice. Dr. Rodriguez joined him at the airlock. Bobby, remember that they're still scared of us.
Move slowly.
Your hands visible, and let them see that you're not carrying weapons. Got it, Doc. Just fix their ship and try not to look like a monster. Should be easy enough. Bobby smiled, but Lisa could see he was nervous too. This was first contact for all of them. The transfer took 20 minutes. Bobby floated across the empty space between the ships, carrying a toolkit and a portable scanner. When he reached the alien airlock, he waited patiently for them to let him in. Naltrix was waiting inside, along with 2 other Zilani crew members. When Bobby removed his helmet, they all stepped back in fear. His human face was exactly what their nightmares had shown them. But Bobby just smiled and held out his hand in greeting. Hi there. I'm Bobby. I'm here to help fix your ship. Neltrix stared at the human's extended hand. In Zilani culture, showing empty hands was a sign of peace. Slowly, carefully, he reached out and touched Bobby's hand with his own crystalline fingers. I am Naltrix. This is my ship's heart chamber. It is dying. Bobby followed the alien engineer through corridors that felt alive. The walls were soft and warm, covered with patterns that looked like veins and arteries. Everything glowed with a gentle blue light, except for the dark sections where the ship was failing. When they reached the heart chamber, Bobby stopped and stared. It was nothing like any engine he had ever seen. The room was filled with what looked like a giant heart, pumping slowly and weakly. Tubes and vessels connected it to the rest of the ship, carrying energy instead of blood. This is incredible, Bobby said quietly. Your ship is actually alive. Yes, Naltrix replied. We grow our ships from seed pods. They live for hundreds of years, carrying us safely through space. But this one is old, and the heart is tired. Bobby studied the dying organ with his scanner. The readings were confusing at first, but slowly he began to understand. It's not just tired. There's some kind of infection in the energy pathways. Like a virus, but for machines? Can you fix it? Bobby thought carefully. His tools were designed for metal and circuits, not living tissue. But the basic principles were the same. Maybe, but I'll need help from both our crews. Over the next few hours, Bobby and Naltrix worked together to understand the problem. The ship's biological systems were completely different from human technology. But both engineers shared the same desire to solve complex problems. Meanwhile, on Pioneer's Dawn, Dr. Rodriguez was preparing for her own challenge. 3 Zilani crew. Members were seriously sick from the failing life support. Captain Vextara had agreed to let them transfer to the human ship for medical treatment. Are you sure about this, Doc? Security Chief Walsh asked. We don't know anything about alien biology. That's exactly why we need to help them, Lisa replied. If we don't try, they'll die for sure. The sick aliens were brought aboard in special containment suits. Lisa had converted the ship's medical bay to accommodate their different atmospheric needs. When she saw them up close, she was struck by how fragile they looked. Their crystalline skin was cracked and dull, and they moved like people in great pain. The youngest one was barely conscious. His name was Thylan, and he was only a few years older than Lisa's nephew back on Earth. Lisa worked carefully using human medical equipment to monitor alien vital signs. "The readings don't make sense," she told Morrison over the com. "Their biology is so different from ours. They're definitely dying. Do whatever you can, Doc." Lisa made a difficult decision. Human blood contained certain proteins that might help stabilize the alien's condition. It was dangerous and untested, but it was their only chance. She drew a sample of her own blood and carefully prepared it for transfusion. If she was wrong, she could kill the young alien instead of saving him, back on the alien ship. Bobby and Naltrix had found the source of the infection. It was spreading through the ship's energy channels like poison, killing the living systems. "One by one, I think I can stop it," Bobby said. "But it means cutting off power to parts of your ship. You'll lose life support in several sections. Those sections are already dead." Naltrix replied sadly, "Do what you must." Bobby worked with tools that seemed crude and violent compared to the ship's organic systems. But sometimes crude tools were exactly what was needed. He cut infected pathways and rerouted power around damaged areas. It was like performing surgery with a wrench. The work was dangerous. At one point, a power surge knocked Bobby unconscious. Naltrix could have left him there and continued the work alone. Instead, the alien engineer carried Bobby to safety and waited for him to recover. "Why did you help me?" Bobby asked when he woke up. "Because you came here to help us," Naltrix replied simply. Meanwhile, Navigator Johnson was tracking their position relative to the unstable star. "Captain, we're running out of time. The gravitational pull is getting stronger." "How long do we have?" 6 hours before we can't escape, even with both ships working together." Morrison made the hardest decision of his career. "Bobby, whatever you're going to do it now. We can't wait any longer." Bobby looked at the ship's dying heart. His repairs had stopped the infection, but the heart was still too weak to restart. On its own, it needed a shock, something to jumpstart it back to life. "Naltrix, I need you to trust me completely. What I'm about to do will either save your ship or destroy it." The alien engineer looked at Bobby with eyes that showed complete faith. "I trust you." Bobby connected his portable power unit directly to the ship's heart. The energy from human technology flowed into the alien organ like electricity into a stopped heart. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the heart gave a weak beat, then another, then a steady rhythm that grew stronger with each pulse. Light began to return to the dark sections of the ship. The corridors warmed, and the air became breathable again. Harmony's Edge was alive. On Pioneer's dawn, Dr. Rodriguez watched as the young alien's vital signs stabilized. The human blood proteins had worked. Thylon opened his eyes and looked at her with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered in broken English. Lisa smiled and gently touched his crystalline hand. "You're welcome." Both ships powered up their engines and pulled away from the deadly star. Rescue was complete, but both crews knew that something more important had happened. They'd learned to trust each other, to work together despite their differences. The galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the rescue, both ships floated safely in empty space, far from the dangerous star. The crews were working together to repair the damage from their escape. It was strange to see humans and Zilani side by side, but it felt right. Somehow, Captain Morrison stood in his ready room with Dr. Rodriguez, reviewing their first contact reports. "Lisa, do you realize what we've done? We've made contact with an alien civilization, not just contact Jake. We've made friends." Harmony's Edge, Captain Vextera faced a different problem. She had to write a report for the Galactic Federation, explaining why she had worked with the forbidden humans. Her superiors would be shocked and angry. Research Assistant Klymeth knocked on her door and entered when she called. "Captain, I've been thinking about our report." "What about it?" "We have to tell the truth. The Federation needs to know that the humans aren't monsters. They saved our lives." Vextera looked at her young officer. "The truth could get us all in trouble. The Federation has strict laws about contact with quarantined species." "But the laws are wrong," Klymeth said firmly. "I've worked with Engineer Chen for 3 days. He's kind and funny and brilliant. He taught me how to fix things I thought were impossible to repair. Does that sound like a monster to you?" Vextera had been struggling with the same thoughts. Everything she had believed about humans had been proven wrong. What do you suggest? We tell the Federation Council exactly what happened? We show them the recordings of humans saving our lives. We make them see the truth. Dr. Rodriguez was having a similar conversation with Captain Morrison. Jake, Earth's command needs to know about this. We can't keep it secret, I know. But what if they decide to weaponize this contact? What if they see the Federation as a threat instead of an opportunity, and we make sure they understand what we've learned here? The galaxy is full of peaceful species who just want to explore and learn. We could be part of something amazing. Bobby Chen floated through the corridor connecting the two ships. The engineering teams had built a temporary tunnel so the crews could move back and forth safely. It was incredible how well humans in Zilani worked together once they stopped being afraid of each other. He found Naltrix in the heart chamber, running final checks on the repaired systems. How's she doing? Better than ever, the alien engineer replied. The hybrid power coupling you designed has made our heart stronger than it was before. And your bioneural interfaces have made our computers faster and smarter. You make a good. Team Naltrix touched Bobby's shoulder with his crystalline hand. I want to ask you something. Would you consider coming with us? To see the Federation worlds? Bobby was quiet for a long moment. You know I can't do that. The Federation has laws against humans entering their space. Laws can be changed. Meanwhile, Dr. Rodriguez was working with the young Zilani named Thylon, who had nearly died during the crisis. His recovery had been remarkable, and he was eager to learn about human medicine. How did you know the blood proteins would work? He asked. I didn't, Lisa admitted. It was a guess based on similar biochemistry. I could have killed you instead of saving you, but you tried anyway. Why? Lisa thought about how to explain it. Because you were dying, and I'm a doctor. It's what we do. We try to save lives, even when we're not sure we can. Thylon studied her with curious eyes. The Federation files say humans are violent and dangerous, but you risked your own safety. To save mine? How can both things be true? Maybe the files are incomplete, Lisa suggested. Maybe whoever wrote them only saw part of the story. Captain Morrison called a meeting of both crews in Pioneers Dawn's main conference room. It was crowded with humans and Zilani sitting together, sharing food and stories. We need to talk about what happens next, Morrison began. Both our governments are going to want explanations. We need to decide how to present this contact. Captain Vextera stood up. I have made my decision. I will tell the Federation Council the complete truth. Humans saved our lives when no one else could. They risked their own safety to help strangers. This is not the behavior of monsters. The Council won't like that. One of her crew members warned. Then the Council needs to learn something new, Vexstar replied firmly. Klamath raised his hand. Captain Morrison, I would like to request asylum on your ship. Everyone in the room turned to stare at him. What? Morrison asked. I want to go to Earth. I want to study human culture and technology. I want to be the first Zilani ambassador to your people. The room erupted in shocked conversations. It was an unprecedented request. Dr. Rodriguez smiled. I think that's a wonderful idea. You could learn so much from each other. It would be dangerous, Vextera warned. The Federation might consider you a traitor, or they might consider me a pioneer, Klamath replied. Someone has to be first. Someone has to show both sides that cooperation is possible. Security Chief. Walsh leaned forward. What about the rest of your crew? Are they going back to Federation space? We have to, Vextera said. But we'll carry the truth with us. And maybe if we're convincing enough, the Federation will send an official contact team. Navigator Johnson had been quietly working on calculations. Captain, I've been plotting courses. If the Federation is interested in formal contact, there's a neutral system about halfway between Earth and their space. It would be perfect for meetings. Getting ahead of yourself, aren't you, Sam? Morrison chuckled. Maybe. But it pays to be prepared. Bobby Chen stood up. I have an idea. What if we exchanged technical data? Nothing military, just basic science and engineering. Show both sides what we could accomplish together. Naltrix nodded enthusiastically. Our biotechnology combined. With human engineering could solve problems neither of us could handle alone. Amy Parker had been recording everything for the official reports. This is going to change everything, isn't it? Once word gets out that humans and aliens are working together, there's no going back. Morrison looked around the room at the mixed group of humans and Zilani. A week ago, they had been strangers from different worlds. Now they were friends and colleagues. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, he said. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up a star chart on the main screen. Look at this. The Federation controls thousands of star systems. They have technology we can't even imagine. And we have perspectives and abilities they've never seen. Together, we could explore the entire galaxy. Together, repeated Thylon. Testing the human word. I like that concept. Captain Vextera made her final decision. When we return to Federation space, we will recommend that the Council send a diplomatic mission to Earth. Official first contact, with full protocols and ceremonies. And if they refuse, Morrison asked, then we'll keep trying until they say. Yes, some things are too important to give up on. The meeting ended with both crews working together to prepare detailed reports and data packages. They documented everything. The rescue operation, the technical exchanges, yet the cultural learning that had taken place. As the two ships prepared to part ways, crew members exchanged personal messages and gifts. Bobby gave Neltrix a set of human tools. Dr. Rodriguez shared her medical research with the Zilani healers. Captain Morrison and Captain Vextara traded navigation charts and star maps. Klamath transferred to Pioneers. Dawn with a single bag of personal belongings and a head full of dreams. He would be the first Zilani to see Earth, the first to walk among humans as a friend instead of an enemy. Are you sure about this? Vextara asked him one last time. I've never been more sure of anything, he replied. The galaxy is about to change, Captain. I want to be part of that change. The two ships slowly separated, heading toward their respective homes. But both crews knew this was not an ending. It was the beginning of something magnificent. In the depths of space, the first seeds of a galactic alliance had been planted. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, other species were receiving signals that would change their understanding of both humans and the universe itself. The age of isolation was ending. The age of cooperation had begun.